And these men who were strong, big, well-proportioned, they were all standing completely barbar with no clothes on what we call one pedestal or pedestal. In these days we were called barbar people. Bar, every man has a bar, and if you don't wear clothes on your bar, it's a barbar. In English we call it barbar. Your bare bar, barbarian. So barbarian had nothing to do with hurting people. Barbarian just means you were naked people. We were natural people. And on this festival day, these girls would come into one arena and they would choose these men. They would look in the eyes to see if they had some feeling for this guy. They look at his body to see if maybe this was what they wanted to have this to make their child. We weren't going to get married. We didn't have marriage before. But she would choose one man at this party, one festival. So she'd choose these men, these girls who had had the dream. But now, 2 days later, we have one day called Boxing Day. And this day we all sing for the Bach. And on this day was called Tournament Day, where these men would come and they had games. They sit on one soft Bach, they put up some beans, sack of beans, and one would try to knock his friend off. And they had poles they would try to climb with grease. And now these Robbies are watching this whole thing to see which of these men are really the ones who should be the papas to be. And one of these guys doesn't win, he has to wait till next year. And the woman who chose the man who didn't win, she didn't have the right intuition. She had to wait till next year for the dream again. It was one process, who was going to make children and who wasn't. On the 24th of May, the 24 of 5, it's called Hun-e-Moon. Hun in our story means female. Han means masculine, but Hun, the female, is the Hun. E is the E, and Moon is the mouth. This is called Moon in root language. In German, Mund. So on this day, the girls who were going to make the children would take the E of the man to be the father, take his E and her moon. The Hun would take the E and the moon, and she would drink the seed of the father-to-be for 30 days. Every day, she took one shot from this father-to-be, because in his sperma is the soul power for the child that will be coming later on. The Hun-e-Moon. You put your E in your honey's moon. So it was a little different before what we say honeymoon today. 1 month after this, we call the children making day. It's called Johannes Day. This is the longest day of the year. It's the 24th of 6. And this is the sex day. And on this day, all the women who had had the dream, who had chosen the right man, they would go into one thing they call one ang. And one ang is one meadow, is one ang. It's where the word England comes from. The meadowland, England. England is the land of meadows. And these girls would go into one ang. They put flowers, they make one bed of flowers, and they lay there, and at 12 o'clock, this father-to-be came and put his pole into her pea, and they were going to make one more people on the planet. So all children were made on this longest night of the year. And all children were born in March, in the spring, like the animals. Before we took all example from the nature. We wanted to be like the nature. The nature is perfect. We've changed our ways today. But before, we took the nature as our example. The people, the heart. I'd like to say a little bit about the heart. In our story, one symbol should be simple. You don't need a professor to explain what a symbol looks like. And we have this, what we call one heart farmed, this Valentine candy box. But this pump here doesn't look anything like this heart. So where could our heart really be? They say your love comes from your heart. They say your heart is the most sensitive place of your body. They say your heart is where in the center. Oh, we got the music going back here. I just go through it. Okay. This heart. In our story, we call this thing your pumpa, or your pump. Today, they can take this pump out, they can put a plastic box in there, and you can still have good feelings. So maybe this is not our heart. It doesn't look anything like this heart. So where on the body could this heart really be? Where is the most sensitive place of your body? Where does your love come from? If a man looks at his decoration down here, he has three parts of this head. The top we call the apple side. The top, you look at it, looks like an apple with the core taken out, with the stem taken out. If you look at the end of it, you have another eye that closes, and this is the third eye of Shiva. This is the Shiva eye. It's not up here in the forehead, it's in the head here. On two heads we have. And from this. And the bottom side of this decoration is a perfect heart. So in our story, the bottom of the man's decoration is our heart. It's the most sensitive place of the body. And when it's standing, it comes straight to the center of your body. The heart is the middle. It's the center. It's the most sensitive place. The brain in the root language is called yarna. And the heart is called hyarta. So the connection between the brain and the heart is the chakra system, or the back. When I see someone who turns me on, and now one comes down my chakra system, and now my heart becomes hard. So the connection between the brain and the heart is the backbone, the spinal cord. So in our story, the woman's heart is inside her. We have one power called Tur. Helbak I Uden Ra Tur Freya. And Tur, we'll stay with this Tur, because Tur is the heart friend. Every man has one Tur. This is called our Tur's hammer. A woman has something called Kli Tur Ri Es. In root language, Kli means to scratch or tickle. Inside the woman, she has a Tur like ours, but small, a little Tur. Ri means to do it again and again and again, and Es means the sun or the light. So if the woman, if she can Kli her Tur, she can Ri the sun in her eyes. Kli Tur Ri Es. And Lit means light. Lit means little. So her light is in her Tur, and our light is in our Tur's hammer. Tur is a very big story. Maybe we can create Tur in the future. The Create Tur. Before, every man was taught one yoga position when we were 7 years old. In these days, we were respecting the sperma. We didn't throw the sperma away, because we understood that in the sperma was the life, water. So every boy was taught at the age of 7 one yoga position, where he was taught to put his E into his own moon and drink his own seed every day of his life. It was like this. Man put his E in his moon, and he drank his own seed. was called his immune system. Moon is the moon, and this was our immune system. From the middle of the E, we got our scene, our med-E scene, medicine.